And I say it's the most important decision that you'll ever make, because it won't, not only will it determine your career, your success, how much money you make, it will also determine how happy you are, how fulfilled you feel in life. I have numerous quotes from people like Leonardo da Vinci and others that the worst thing is to be turning 50, 60 years old and to feel like you never realized your potential. You never did what you felt like you could have done. Yeah. It's like, that's the worst feeling. So you don't want to have that feeling, particularly if you're younger in your 20s and you have more options, or even in your 30s. So it's a question of knowing yourself, you know? The Oracle of Delphi in ancient Greece, which was the center of all wisdom, the priestess in the Oracle of Delphi was supposedly in touch with the god Apollo, who would tell her the truth of anything in the universe. And what was the inscription above the Oracle of Delphi was, know yourself, know thyself. It's the start of all wisdom. So your tendency will be, when you're a child, when you're 5 or 6, to kind of know that you like this, you like sports, you like physical activity, or you like music, or you like words, or you like working with your hands. You have a feel for it. It's natural. And as you get older, you start to listen to other people, and you lose a sense of who you are. You listen to your parents who tell you, Brendan, you got to become a lawyer. You need to go into this field. Your friends are all scrambling to make a lot of money, and you lose this connection to who you are, to what your strengths are, to what you love. People don't realize Steve Jobs was actually not much of a computer person. He was quite mediocre in his computer skills. It was Wozniak who was the hacker. I mean, he wasn't terrible, but that wasn't his strength. His strength was design. And his story is interesting because when he's like 5 or 6 years old, he's walking with his stepfather somewhere in Silicon Valley where they grew up. He grew up in Northern California, and he passes an electronics store with all the gizmos in it of the time with their tubes and everything. And he goes, wow. He got so excited by technology, but the design of technology, and this is a 5-year-old, that's what I'm talking about. Like when you're a kid, in a very visceral way, something strikes you. And that's what he ended up becoming. It wasn't technology, it was the design element. That's what his genius was bringing together a pretty good knowledge of technology with a great knowledge of fonts, calligraphy, modern design, to create his greatest breakthrough, which people don't realize, which was the iPod that started all of the changes that we now have. So he's a perfect example of what we're talking about. So you have to know yourself. You have to know what you're good at, what you love. There's a book I recommend for people. I can't remember the exact title. I think it's called The 5 Frames of Intelligence, something like that, by I think it's Howard Gardner. And he's basically saying that there are 5 forms of intelligence. One of them is kinetic, which has to do with physical motion. One is mechanical, having to do with spatial things. One is like music and math. One is words, etc. You're going to tend to have a mind that has one of these forms of intelligence. What is it? Know yourself. Know what that is. For me, it's language and words, etc. It's getting in contact with who you are, what you love, going back to that child, rooting out all the voices of your parents and your friends, finding those things that when you read online and you find a subject, what your eyes light up at, what you want to explore. It's a process. It's not going to happen overnight. It depends on how old you are, where you are in life. It's never too late to make an adjustment or to find who you are. I didn't write the 48 Laws of Power or start writing until I was 36. And up until that moment, I was kind of a lost soul. I was kind of unhappy and I was wandering around. It can take time. Um, as long as you're trying, as long as you're exploring, it'll probably come. But if you're only following what other people are doing, you're in trouble. You might succeed for a while. You might get that law degree and make money, and when you're 28, like your mom and dad want you to. But by the time you're 34, you're tuning it out. You're drinking. You're getting on drugs. You're doing online porn. You're so out of it. You're so disconnected. You fall into various addictions, and it may not be something that destructive, but you're not. It's not engaging you, and you might have succeeded for a while, but you're going to pay a price. I'm telling you, it's the most important decision that you can have, is connecting to it and making it practical. So you're not going to want to become a poet or a rock musician just because you love music. All right, I'm going to start my own band. That's not necessarily practical, okay? But you love music. All right, let's find a path in music that is practical, that you can use. And maybe it will end up being a rock band, who knows? I don't want to discourage that, but I knew I wanted to write. That gave me the latitude to explore this vast area and then find my niche. Mm-hmm. You know that you love working with your hands. Okay, explore this. Or you love computers. Explore the whole area and you'll find your niche. But you've got to know what that first overall ecosphere is that you want to explore. Brandon, we could talk about it for hours, so I'm just going to shut up at this point, but you need to read Mastery to know more about it. But it is literally, to me, I want you to look at it as life and death, because you can spiritually die from engaging most of your working hours, your mental energy, in something that you don't love. And the problem that most people have is they follow what other people are doing, or they follow the career path that leads to the most money, the most attention, the most glory, that seems like the most exciting, the sexiest thing, because that's what other people are doing. And they're not actually looking at what their inclination, what I call your own inclinations are, who you are, what you actually really love. The animals that survive are the ones that find a niche. There's no other animal that has a beak this long that can suck that kind of flower and get the nectar out. It can now survive. The animals that try and become like other ones that follow where all the other animals succeed at don't usually survive because they have to be the best at it. I'm kind of simplifying it, but there's truth to this.
Yeah.
It's the same in the career world, where if you follow what everyone else is doing, what seems like the sexiest, most attractive position, it's going to be crowded. It's going to be crowded with a lot of people who are vying for the same thing, who are probably better at it. It's best to find what you love and combine it with something that already exists out there, a career path, and to adapt it to your spirit and to not go where everyone else is going. Let's say for writing, for me, it's easier for me to talk about that. Everybody in Los Angeles is a screenwriter. You go to a cafe and all the waiters and waitresses are screenwriters. Yeah. Right? It's disgusting. How can there be so many screenwriters? There's only so many films being made. What are they? But it's true. And I used to work in Hollywood, and everyone's trying to write a screenplay. Well, it's so crowded. Your chances of success are so slim. You're like those 5 million salmon swimming upstream in Oregon, and only 2 are going to make it. Right? That's what it's like. Okay, and I was in that pool with the 10 million other salmon trying to write a screenplay, and it wasn't working. And because I wasn't suited for it, it wasn't me. I don't actually like Hollywood that much. I like movies, but I don't like them that much. I like history, and I like philosophy, and I like science. So I found my way by listening to myself, by listening to what I hated and kind of gravitating towards it, to create a write a form of writing that suited me, where there was no competition.
Thank you so much for watching the video, and we hope you were able to pull just a bit of value from it. If you made it to the end here, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and comment down below what you learned from the video. Also, please give us some comments and some thoughts about some other videos we can make to help you in everything that you want to do. You take care.